Hello and welcome to On Purpose Astrology. In this latest in a series of videos about Pluto in Aquarius and what it means for your Pluto generation, I'm going to focus today on the Pluto in Sagittarius generation. So let's have a look at the dates for when Pluto was in Sagittarius so you can check if you're not sure whether or not you have Pluto in Sagittarius. Pluto was in Sagittarius between 1995 and 2008. It first ingressed into Sagittarius January 17th, 95 to April the 21st, 95. Then it went back to Scorpio for a little while before settling into Sagittarius between November the 10th, 95 and January 26, 2008. Then it dipped its toes into Capricorn before having a final few months in Sagittarius between June the 14th, 2008 and November the 27th, 2008. Now, I am going to put those dates in the description below. So if you're not sure, you can just check in the description below this video to see whether you are in whether you do have Pluto in Sagittarius or not. So to set a little bit of context before we talk about Pluto in Aquarius for your generation, let's look at some of the historical events while Pluto was in Sagittarius. We saw the trauma as a result of the genocides in Rwanda and Bosnia, which took place during Pluto in Scorpio. It was the era of international terrorism, such as 9/11, religious fundamentalism and xenophobia, the 2003 Iraq War. And as a result of that war and other things, it was a time when there was mistrust in government intelligence. It was a time of cyberspace, the international superhighway, as it was called, the internet as we know it now. The deep web began. The deep web is different from the dark web that you may have heard of, which came in with Pluto and Capricorn. The deep web was when corporations started to use the internet. First of all, it was a bit of a wild west of people just putting in their own little websites up, and then suddenly the corporations caught on, and every single business now pretty much has to have a website. And the deep web means the kind of business where you have to log on to get into your account. And we all do this every day, of course. We do our banking online and everything else, buy tickets, everything else, basically. Pluto in Sagittarius also saw the growth of personal injury, no-win, no-fee legal cases. Has something to do with the law, of course, Sagittarius, and the increase of civil litigation. So you always see increases of something or other with Sagittarius. The increased easy availability of risky credit during Sagittarius, growth, optimism gone too far, which led to the credit crunch, which became immediately prevalent when Pluto went into Capricorn, the sign after Sagittarius. So what about the Pluto in Sagittarius generation? Well, a few themes are the search for truth, the big vision, spiritual visionaries, gurus, adventurers, activists. Pluto can bring out the worst in the sign that it's in, overexpansion. We've got the woke generation that the right-wing media seem to hate, dogmatism, the cancel culture, for example. Ultimately, for better or worse, optimistic hope for a better future, no matter how bad things become or seem. Although perhaps too much optimism can maybe lead to not making the difficult decisions that need to be made, perhaps. But what about when Pluto is in Aquarius? Now, if you want to explore, if you're not sure of some of the themes for Pluto in Aquarius itself, go back into the video that I put. I've got a whole series of videos, the Pluto in Aquarius series of videos, and there's a video specifically about the themes of Pluto in Aquarius. It's only about just over 10 minutes long, so go and have a little look at that to get a general idea. When Pluto is in Aquarius, if you have Pluto in Sagittarius, at some point during Pluto's in Aquarius long transit, you will have Pluto in Aquarius sextile, in a sextile aspect to your Pluto in Sagittarius. A sextile aspect is known as one of the softer aspects, the easier aspects. It's a fire-air sextile, so it has some energy, some optimism behind it. It brings opportunities. Anything Jupiterian, Pluto in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Opportunities do need to be seized. They need to be seen. They need to be looked for. They needed to be acted upon. Now, when will you have this Pluto, sextile Pluto? Well, it depends on when, when you were born. So some of you will have it in your mid-teens, whereas some others of you will have it in your mid-20s or somewhere in between. However old you are when you have it, it's a time for looking to the future. It's a time for setting goals and aspirations for the future. Sagittarius and Aquarius are both future-oriented signs. That's one thing that they have in common. It's an opportunity for personal growth through potentially difficulties, through things coming to the surface, through healing traumas, old traumas, or clearing some old patterns from childhood that may be holding you back. Pluto's work isn't easy, particularly, even with a sextile aspect, although potentially easier than some of the other generations who are going to have, for example, squares, quincunxes, and oppositions from Pluto to Pluto. Pluto transits always say something about survival and the loss of innocence, particularly with this fire air sextile in your mid-teens or any time up to your mid-20s. Loss of innocence could be a theme, that growing up. Oh, things are getting real now. Okay, but it might be easier, as I said, than with other Pluto to Pluto transits that older generations might be going through. So it's about growing up, particularly in your mid-teens. It might be wanting to take control of your life, wanting to rebel against conformity and power. We see power when we're young in terms of our parents and our teachers and other people. When we're a bit older, in our mid-20s, for example, we might be in our careers by then. So again, how do you express your individuality within the confines of the roles that you take on in life, whether it's parenthood or as a student or as an employee? How do you express your individuality? How do you form your own values, and how do you stick to your values? How do you express your values? How do you even know what your values are? All of these are things to think about with Pluto in Aquarius. Needing more freedom, of course. That generation, when you are in your teen, you want the freedom, right? You want some freedom to be who you are. Awareness of generation gaps. That's a big one, I think, when you're in your mid-teens to mid-20s. Aware of the generations that have gone before you. And because Pluto in Sagittarius, for some of you, it's a generation of activists, perhaps climate change activists. Perhaps you'll be looking back at future generations and thinking, why have they done this to the world, or why haven't they done more to stop it? Maybe you'll feel it's your job to do something about it. Also, the experience of the benefits of taking responsibility for yourself, for taking your own power, putting yourself in your own power, and the drawbacks as well, of course. Power struggles and the resistance to power. As I say, power struggles might come into your life to help you to learn to stand in your own power, to be your own power, to be your own authentic self. Sagittarius is also about travel, education, justice, ethics, values, as I've said. Pluto in Sagittarius is very communicative, and so is Pluto in Aquarius, having a voice and having it heard loud and clear and wide, broadening your horizons. deciding which communities and causes to stand behind. As I said, dogmatism, getting too entrenched in fixed ideas, because Pluto in Aquarius, Aquarius is a fixed sign, of course. Pluto in Sagittarius is more flexible, so perhaps there's something to learn there about where to stand in your power and where to broaden your horizons and know there is always more to learn and always more to know and always more to have an opinion about. And the truth doesn't always lie as a hard fact, it lies somewhere in between. And knowing your own truth is very much a Pluto in Sagittarius and Pluto in Aquarius thing. So I really hope that this has been helpful and useful and interesting. As I said, I'm going to put the dates for Pluto in Sagittarius in the description. Also a link to that Pluto in Aquarius videos and the videos for the other Pluto generations. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. I'm really enjoying creating them for you, and I hope to see you here again at On Purpose Astrology.